Hello, I am Kat Navarro Lee. Welcome to another episode of Faith and Flow, where I interview interesting people in the entertainment business about their faith and belief in God and how that intersects with their career in entertainment. Disclaimer, if you do hear a sound that sounds like baby chatter and just noise and clutter type stuff in the background, well, that is my toddler. Mom life. Anyways, it has been a really long time since I've posted any kind of interviews because, yes, mom life and stuff. But I'm really excited to be getting back on track. And this next interview is with another fellow mama, and she's a lovely actress. Her name is Kelsi Umeko. A little bit about her. She's a Japanese American actress based out of Seattle. Yes, Asian representation. And her whole family is in the industry. Her husband, her kids, and my kid is laughing in the background. But she's been in some really cool projects. She was a series regular on REI's web series Trailheads, which was comedy and improv based. So she's funny and delightful. And she's been on so many commercials. When you see her, you will understand why, because she has the perfect smile. I told her she should be on like a Crest White Strips commercial or something. And she was on the Shawn Mendes Lost in Japan Tonight music video. Hope you guys enjoy this video where we talk about acting, about how her faith in Jesus has influenced so many things in her life, and how she balances being a mom and partner and all these different things. I'm really excited for you guys to hear this. Thanks. Say bye, baby Libby, she says. Hey, Kelsi, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me.
Of course. It's good to see you.
You too. I know you've had some conversations about faith, and I've always thought that your stories were so interesting. I remember you talking about your faith and how it played a part in you being an actress over in Seattle, and you've always just had some stories that I think are very encouraging. So I'm so thankful that you're here to share more about your faith.
Well, thank you. Yeah, God has been, I would say definitely from when I started acting, God has been continually like transforming my heart and my mind and guiding us in this, me and my husband in this career. So, and like, I feel like what really helped is praying and asking God to speak to me through the Bible and to give me the wisdom and like the discernment to understand what I was reading. I've totally read pieces of the Bible before. And like you said, it was like, what is this? Like, I don't understand any of this. Like, but to be able to like different podcasts were like, would just appear in my life or would be recommended like out of nowhere. And it was just really helping me to discern what I was reading and also to have a good context for what I was reading so that it didn't feel like it was just some like mysterious book that I couldn't decipher any of it.
Right. Well, when you talk about how podcasts, just people recommended them and it really helped with what you're going through, that kind of leads into some of my questions, which is basically in your career, in your life, do you feel that there's moments that can only be attributed to God, or you really felt God speaking into your life where you're like, no doubt, this is not coincidence and God led me to this or that?
There's like so many times. I feel like that's one of the amazing pieces of my relationship with God is that I feel like God very clearly will speak to me. And so that's not always the case, but in a lot of ways, I feel like I can attribute a lot of things as his guidance.
Mm-hmm.
So before we moved to LA, so we moved to LA in 2017, and I'm from Seattle originally. So yeah.
So we live there now. You're a Seattle-based actress. So you started there and then you moved to LA to pursue the acting thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But had you been doing acting in Seattle as well?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Only for like a short bit. Like I think I started acting in 2013. Okay. So I was a dental hygienist previously. Um,
Is that why your teeth are so sparkly white? Your teeth, you look like you could be on a Crest commercial.
I should be on one. No.
So yeah, your teeth, it's amazing. Okay, so you were telling me the story of how.
Oh yeah. Okay. So I was so close with my grandpa. He's very dear to me. I was his only granddaughter. In fact, our son is named after him.
Oh,
But he was slowly dying of cancer, and so I saw him multiple times a week. I would take him grocery shopping every Tuesday, and my son and I would just spend so much time, and my husband too, but my son and I really just spent so much time with my grandpa. And it was the hardest decision to move to LA, but my husband really felt like we were being called down there.
mhm.
So, and I was like, I don't feel that calling. I have so much purpose here with my grandpa and my family. So
Yeah.
we moved down to LA, and I kid you not, I cried like every night for like 2 months because I just missed him so much. But before we moved down, I specifically prayed to God and I asked him, I said, Lord, please bring me home once a month for work so that I can see my grandpa. And it was a specific plea that I was just, my heart was so broke, aching at the time.
Mhm.
And God is just so good. I don't deserve any of the blessings that He's given me. And
Mhm.
so, right before we had moved down to LA, I did one shoot with REI, and it was like it was supposed to be a one-time gig. Um, and the next month, they asked my agent, and they said, "Hey, we want to use like Kelsi in a recurring role for this series that they were doing," and they just kept the same cast. And so, once a month, I flew home for that job because we filmed about once a month.
Wow.
The months that we weren't filming, there would always be one job that I would book in Seattle, and it would bring me up to Seattle for the month. And this is like how I know without a doubt it was God. So that went on up until the last month that we were living in LA. When we moved back home to Seattle,
Yes.
the last time I had filmed with REI. It's
That is,
crazy.
isn't
And
that great? I mean, and then the fact that you don't have to, I mean, the expenses and all of that stuff to make it affordable. And that's just such a blessing when you can travel forward, but then it's all ordained for you.
I know. And then there was one other time. My, our agent in Seattle sent us a job. This was like the last year that we were living in LA, but we were getting pretty busy in LA. So we were like, all right, it's really hard to leave to go to Seattle for work. And so when she sent us this job, I think I had just gotten back from Seattle. So I was like, I think we're going to have to pass on this one. Sounds great, but we're going to have to pass. Then we were going to a small church in Burbank. There's like 200 people there. And randomly, our friend from that church was like, tagged us in this production company's post that was looking for a family in Seattle for this job. And this production company is from like Toronto, Canada.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's like all over the map. And you know how jobs don't really cross out of regions like that?
Yeah. It's right. Rare. Right.
It's really rare to get see like Pacific Northwest breakdowns and then like to see that in LA. So like when he tagged us in that, I looked at my husband and I was like, I feel like God wants us in Seattle for some reason. So
Mhm.
let's apply to this shoot. So we applied to the gig, and without even knowing if we were going to book it or not, I felt like God was wanted us up there, and I was like, I already feel like we're going to book this, just because there's just two different ways that God I felt was like kind of trying to be like, take this job.
Yeah.
So we end up booking it. We fly home on a Wednesday afternoon. And the first thing that I always did was I would always go straight to my grandpa. At this point, he was pretty frail and he was on hospice. And so I got to see my grandpa and I got to spend all day with him and pray over him. And the very next morning, the day that we had to be on our shoot, I got a call at 7 a.m. that he was passing away, like that they think he had passed away. And so usually 2 outdoor shoots, as you know, they start like right at the crack of dawn. So they can take advantage of the sunlight. Our call time was like 3 p.m., I think, or 2 p.m. So we were able to rush over to, my aunt was taking care of my grandpa at the time. So we got to rush over to my aunt's house. I got to clean him all up. He had passed away, but like on like after that moment, I just like started bawling, just like thanking God for the opportunity to see my grandpa one last time, to give him one last hug, to be there to clean him, when he passed. And just like those are moments where I'm like, I know that this is God. Like
God, for sure.
God knows my heart. He knows, and I'm not so undeserving of something like that. But like the fact that he cares so much that he would,
Yeah.
nudge me to come home. The same thing happened prior in December for my grandma. When my grandma passed away, we came up for work, and my grandma passed away that week. And I'm just, so to have it happen just like twice was just, I just feel like it was so God.
Uh, you were talking about, your grandma and how that happened for you too. And just, it's so rare that I hear stories where people talk about kind of how God has been working in so many different areas, right? Like people talk, oh God, this and that, but like all intertwined into one, where it's your career working on behalf of your family life, and so it's very encouraging for me to know that like God cares about all of the details of our lives, and that you can do both, right? That, I mean, so many times most people that I know aren't from LA, and people come from all over the place, and it's like they're so afraid to go back home to go visit their family because they might get a call for an audition or something like that. But the fact that you're still able to make family such a priority.
Yeah, definitely. LA has this pace about itself where it feels like film needs to be number one in your life.
Right. Mm-hmm.
If it's not, you feel the actual repercussions from your agents, whoever it may be. We have an amazing manager now. So, but before it was like our agents, they're like, why aren't you answering your email? And it's been like, I'm like, I was giving my son a bath and putting him to bed. I don't have my phone on 24/7.
Oh God, and that's a good thing because I know people that do.
It's great if you don't answer within like 15 minutes.
Right. It's like you're not a doctor where if you don't respond that second, to give instructions. I don't know. So I think that is such a affirming thing that you can still have a family and put that first amidst such a demanding career choice.
Yeah, I mean, definitely when we got to LA, I feel like we had a couple years where we really were trying to keep up with the pace of LA. And it was literally like film became first and then family. And
Mm.
because of that, man, you could feel the disunity, or I don't even know if that's a word, but disunity in the
Yeah.
family when you don't have God at the center. And
Mm-hmm.
so for us, we are really grateful that God revealed that to us in a way before we were, too far apart. And so for us, God did a lot of works on our marriage, on our parenting, to just put him at the center of everything. But it took a little bit of wandering away and like feeling like things were hard, like, and so when we came back together with God at the center and through God's word, through reading the Bible and just God transforming our heart at his own time and revealing different things to us in our own ways, we both came to the realization, actually my husband first, that like certain roles we didn't want to take because of the effects it could have for our marriage, like
Right.
just even kissing roles outside of our marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Those were things that at first we were just completely like, it's our job, like whatever. But when we really started putting God at the center, and because he kind of, we felt like he was speaking that into our marriage, like no more doing these roles. Oh my goodness, what roles can you take in LA? And my husband's always like a leading man, and so like for him that really affected a lot of the roles. And at the same time, God was revealing to me and my husband through different messages, through like visions, through feelings, that that your dad is going to come to know Christ, and you have to move home because you're going to be the person that is going to pour into him more than, and he'll listen. So that's actually one of the biggest reasons why we left LA, was because of that.
So I wanted to just ask too, since acting can be a very hard profession with many discouraging moments, have there ever been times where you felt like you wanted to do something else, or you were discouraged, but then your faith kept you going?
Well, I feel like I actually started from being a hygienist, and then God really like opened up the doors to do acting. And so because of that, like it was a very clear opening, because when I went into this field, or into this industry, it was like, I think we had such a high booking rate, and I was working all the time. Like we would shoot, sometimes before we moved, it was like 3 commercials a week, something crazy like that. And so we were working so much. And then right when we moved back home from LA, I was like, well, there's so many crazy stories. But I was like, I guess I'll never do a TV show again, because, everything books out of LA, it feels like, and nothing usually comes to Seattle. And right when I moved back, a TV show had had left filming in Atlanta, and they brought their production last minute to Seattle, and I booked a role on a TV show. And I was like,
wow,
Lord, like, oh my goodness, you're so amazing. And then, so I feel like so far it's been a very clear path. There's still been, we've still been really busy working. We've been doing a lot of commercial work, and then we produce our own films. That way we can,
yeah, you got to create your own stuff so that you don't always have to rely on waiting for somebody to hire you.
Exactly.
Even though you get hired all the time, that doesn't seem to be a problem for you. Well, I mean, and because as a family, you guys do that. So your husband is an actor, and your kids also act, right? Are you okay?
Well, our 7-year-old is an actor, and the joke is that he's gonna make it before us, which literally almost happened. But we probably book everything because of because of Keo, because he's so cute and he's got like this energy.
Right.
But and then we have a 4-month-old, and he did his first little mini commercial with us. Like,
well, and I think that this also speaks to how people are kind of worried, during COVID, they're afraid of, there might not be work or this and that, but I feel like a lot of stuff is coming from self-tapes, and things are filming elsewhere. And so you guys will probably have more of a chance of things picking back up over in your area than in LA, maybe sooner.
Yeah, I have no idea. There's been so many things that we haven't submitted to because we're uncomfortable because of COVID, and having an infant.
Yeah.
Whose system is very, you don't know how this virus is going to affect them. So we've just been, I'm trying to start pre-production on a feature film that I want to make, but so this is a perfect time for that,
It is, to really kind of look at what else you want to do creatively besides just, acting. People are writing a lot more. What I really love about your story, though, with, the family and all that, is that, hey, you can have it all, right? I mean, as a mama, and a lot of women sometimes wonder, hey, if I have a baby, am I going to have to sacrifice projects and my career and all of those things, especially with acting, because you're like, oh, okay, and the way I look and this and all that. But then it looks like this has even added to your career and made it even more prosperous having your family.
Yeah, so up until Kia was 5, we were like set on one child, and then all of a sudden, God put on our hearts to have a second child. And at this point now, we actually have our film careers going. And I did in my head, I was like, Lord, like, how am I gonna like have a baby right now? Like, because there is that huge fear, and I've talked to other actresses about this, that you fear that you're not going to be able to work. And God reminded me, hey, you started this career when you were pregnant with Keo. I booked my first like photo shoot. And then after I had Keo, that's when my career like really took off, when he was in a baby. And so I was like, oh yeah, thank you, Lord, for that. And then I had put a timeline on like when I was going to stop working was when I was going to start showing. So we produced a short film, and I was pregnant, and there's lots of running. I'm like, oh, and I was super sick, and I'm like, why did we write this in the script? But anyways, October was like the date that I was like, you know what, I'm going to stop submitting the things in October because I'm going to start showing. There's not going to be work for me. Well, God is so funny, because God was like, no, you're going to work a lot while you're pregnant. And I did like a lot of big shoots. I did stuff for T-Mobile, Microsoft, and they even showed off my bump, which I thought was really empowering, because I was supposed to be like a CEO type position. And they're like, and we want to dress up your bump, So I worked a bunch while I was even pregnant, and it was worked into wardrobe to show off the bump. And God, I'm just like, God, you are so good. He has bigger and better plans, and he's not going to, we put so many limitations on ourselves based on what we think, but God's like, okay, there's no doors. Like, there's no limitation.
You're able to hear so clearly from God, and it's very clear that your relationship with him is very close. And I know that there's a lot of people who maybe always sometimes get in these ruts where we're like, I don't know what God wants me to do, or I don't know where to go with my life. And do you have any advice on how to really just kind of hear that voice, or find that direction of where you feel that God is calling you?
I feel like for me, when I go through like those seasons of where I feel like I'm like, man, I feel like God's so distant, I'm always reminded that God is not distant. It's me being distant from God. And so I will pray like, Lord, set my heart on fire for you. Lord, draw me near to you, and captivate my heart. Like, I want to be on fire for you, because you go through those seasons where you're just like, yes, like, Lord, like, and he feels so close. And then you go through seasons where you feel like distant.
Yeah.
But what I realize is it's not God being distant. It's me not, really actively pursuing him. And I think one thing that I find a lot of peace in is that when you're making those big decisions, like, should I leave LA and give basically up this dream and career and go home because I feel that's where God's calling me, to really be able to really to figure out if that decision is from God or from you, and where it's coming from, to know that wherever you go, God is there. Yeah. So just because you go down this way, God is still there if you bring him along with you. And so there isn't just like, there isn't like this, okay, a fork in the road, and if I go here, God is going to leave me. And if I go there, then I'm going to, like, God is calling me there, it's right. It's, and then to discern like go to the book, go to the Bible. What does the Bible, how can the Bible, or the Bible is guiding in its ability to see other people and see how God calls them, and is where God calling you very similar to his character, so.
Thank you so much. We're just about running out of time, but thank you so much for being so open and honest about your faith. I know that it's not always the easiest or the most popular thing, but you've you're so honest, and your stories about your family and your journey, I know, are going to be so encouraging to other people, seeing where you're at, and that you can work and have a flourishing career in other places, and you can have a family, you can be a mama, and all of those things are just something really encouraging, especially in this time where people need something to be encouraged about.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I will talk to you soon, Kelsey.
Okay, bye.
Bye.